Okay, we've just unboxed everything and we've taken all the individual plastic sleeves off each pole. There's a lot of components, but the operations are all repetitive, so once you've got it right once, it's pretty easy. We're going to start on a nicely mown area and we'll dip all the nuts and bolts and washers into one container so that we don't lose them in the grass, and we'll make the first star. Now, following the instructions, it's important to note the sequence so that we get all the colours right at the end. They're the same, but they're different colours, so we've got to follow that sequence. And we start with number 1, which is a brown bolt, and then number 2, and we'll stick one of the longer bolts in, and then 3 is a brown, and 4 is another brown, and 5 is a green, and the last one, number 6, is a brown. Now we'll put a washer on it. See, I'm holding the bolt up, put a washer on. But this is important. There's 2 types of nuts. Here they are. There's a thin nut or one with a blue insert called a lock nut. For this operation, we're going to use the thin nuts. Later, we'll use the lock nuts. When we do that, we're only going to do this moderately tight because it has to fit together later on. So we want a bit of adjustment space. So I'm using the Allen key in the head of the bolt and the spanner. See, that's not even very tight at all. So I can still move everything around. That's our first star. And we'll set that to one side because now we have to build a total of 5 stars, just like that. The kids will be wanting to help at this stage, but maybe just get them to watch because we don't want them bouncing on this because there's no strength in it until we put it all together. And we do have to get the right sequence. So we'll just build the next 4 stars. Okay, for step 2, we're going to add this pole, and it's got to go between the 2 brown ones, like there. And, important, we're going to use the short bolts, not the long bolts. And we're going to use a washer under the nut and under the head. And we're going to use a nylock locking nut. But we're only going to do it up loose at this stage. And we're going to do that for all 5 frames. So, bolt and washer. Now these bolts go in from the outside, like this. Not that way, like the other one, but like this. And we use another washer. And then we put the nylock locking nut on. And I can just hold that just so I can tighten it up, but still very loose. It's just loose now. Okay, we're now at step 3. And we've set out 2 stars pointing down. The bases are over there. And we're going to attach this green one under here. We're not going to screw it to there yet. that comes in the next step. We'll use one long bolt with a washer and a nut, just a plain nut, because we'll undo this later on when we add more bits. So this one comes from underneath, actually underneath the green, the brown, and the brown. We put the nut on. Only do it very loose at this stage, just like that. Now we're going to do step 4. If you read it, it sounds difficult. When you look at the picture, it's actually quite easy. We're going to add these 2 green sticks. They'll all come together in the middle. But we need to get the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In this case, it'll be 1, then number 2 sits on top of that. We use a long bolt and a washer. Then number 3 is that top one. This is where you might need a helper to hold things. And number 4 is the next star. And number 5 is the last one that goes down like that. This is where just need to get everything lined up and a nut. Go through it all. But we're not going to put any washers and nylock nuts on at this stage because I just want to get the first one right. Just like that. So that's got that started. Remember in the last step we had 5 greens forming a star? Here they are. And there is the base of that star that we made originally. There's the other base. We've just put the 5 greens together like that. This is the start of the dome. This next step requires us to put this into here. Remember how we did these up loose? We're now going to take these nuts and bolts off and put that in and put that in. And the same on this side. Now it starts to really firm up the structure. If we just look at the instructions for a moment, that'll show us which side this green comes in. Between these 2, and this one comes on the outside. So we're just going to repeat exactly the picture there. So it's easy if we keep stopping and checking the pictures occasionally, and if it doesn't look like the picture, it's easy to go back and correct it. So, just to recap, we've got number 1 on the outside, number 2 is next, number 3, the green, and number 4, the brown on the inside. Now we put our washer and nut on, like that. And I'm only going to leave it very loose while I get the other side done. Okay, again we're going to make sure we copy the picture. So number 1 is on the outside, number 2 is the horizontal, it's on the inside, number 3 is the green, put the bolt through there, And number 4 should fit in there. Now we might just have to play with the structure a bit till it's all lines up and the bolt goes in easily. There we go. This is where having someone to help and move the top of the structure around can be quite useful, but you can do it on your own like I'm doing right now. It's just that the chair can't move it around for you. So that's in loose, that's good. Good start. Now we're going to move to the next steps, which is really doing more of the same all the way around. Okay, now we're at step 6. See, we've got the structure up and we've got 5 apexes. We're going to start at this apex and we're going to get 2 browns and a green. And we're going to take this nut off, like this. And we'll take this one off, just so that we keep the right sequence. We'll start with a brown, which we're going to put on there. I'll just rest it up there for now. And a green, which is going to come up this way. I'll rest that on my shoulder. And another brown, which I'll rest it on there. And on. Yeah, like that. And we're going to put this back on here. First one, of course, is difficult. Then they get easier. We'll put the nut on. We're only going to do it up finger tight for now, because we'll work around and we'll do the rest one bit at a time. But before we do the rest, I just want to tell you something. Have a look at this. Everything's very floppy, isn't it? You couldn't climb on this without bending things. I'm going to show you some engineering magic that's going to happen in the next few minutes. Just watch this. Step 7. Now remember I said before, watch this for some magic. Remember I said it's really floppy, and if you climbed on it you would bend it and break things. That's no good. Watch this. Put our bolt through. And it's still all floppy. Still. There's only one more bit to go. The very last piece. Watch this. Now if I put my nut on there, even if I just put it on loosely, I'll put it on loose, just to prove the point. See? Not even tight. But watch this. I can hang my entire weight on this and it doesn't go anywhere. Now that's truly magic. In fact, that's engineering and that's physics. And why is it so? Well, it's so because we've now made everything join together with a triangle. It can't go anywhere because a triangle doesn't bend. And we've got triangles in different angles to make a sphere. It's called geodetic or geodesic construction. And it's been known about for thousands of years. So what do we do now? We do step 8, and that is we go around everything and check that it's in the right sequence and tighten everything up nicely. And when it's all done, we can move on to the final step, which is step 9, which is applying these things. Now, if we've made any mistakes in the sequence, this is when we find out, because this has a spiral. And remember how we stack these carefully? This is on the top, the next one down, the next one down, the next one down, the next one down, and the next one down. Because we've done that, and because of this curve, we fit that on, it's going to fit perfectly. And we use this top hat nut, which goes through there, and we wind that down, and we tighten that into place. Just like this. With the Allen key, tighten it up, and we'll work all the way around doing that on every joint. Then we're done, we're ready to play. Have a great time.